His kind of writing predates what we think of as the typical Victorian novel. He comes out of a tradition that relates very strongly to the stage, that relates very strongly to character pieces, almost like a kind of proto-music hall. The sort of thing that was very popular in the early 19th century, where people would impersonate characters, sing a song, and entertain a large theatre full of people. And when Dickens came to write himself and put together his novels, certainly his early novels, but even later on, they're very character-driven. And many of the figures that he came up with, they sort of have a life of their own, regardless of whatever plot they happen to be involved in a Dickens novel. It's almost like they're accidentally involved in a story. Dickens makes up the character, they're there, they're real, and then he ropes them into a narrative. And because of that, they stick in the mind. And you have to remember as well that Dickens was publishing series, that he was publishing a serial. All his books, all his novels appeared in part form to begin with. That's how the public would first have encountered them. And he was very aware of the need to make each part memorable, to be of a piece, so that it could be coherent in itself, as well as making a coherent whole by the time the novel was finished, up to a year later. So because of that, people can carry around in their head these figures who tend to live their lives repeating themselves, or have very characteristic expressions or very characteristic mannerisms, and they stick in the mind. And that's certainly one reason why figures like Oliver Twist, Mr. Micawber, they come down to us all of a piece, separate, independent from the narrative that they happen to be embedded in their relative novels.